Hello, ladies. Welcome back. We are in week 2 of our 4-week time together. It's going to go by super fast. And I've got some, we've got packed full of information over the next few weeks and some assignments that I've got laid out for you, and I'd like for you to turn these things into me each week. Um, I'd love to see what you are thinking through it all. Love for the accountability piece, and love to have that dialogue with you to be helping you along. So I'm going to recap with you what we talked about last week, and and then I'll jump right in to this week. So last week um, we talked about nutrients, right? And we talked about macronutrients, and micronutrients. So when we look at micronutrients, we're looking at our vitamins and minerals. And then when we talk about macronutrients, we're really talking about the protein, carbohydrates, fats, and water. And we looked at the quality of the type of food, our quality of the type of products we want to put into our body. And today we're going to expand into this, and we're going to talk about the combination of how we put these things together, and how that I'm calling it the magic plate. And when we put that combo together, what I'll share with you is really how essentially the weight just falls off your body. And so we're doing this in a very healthy, sustainable, long-term solution here, and want this to be something that you're using not only for weight loss, but for after the fact too. So let me go ahead and share my screen with you, and we'll go from there. All right. So nutrition realization, putting together the magic plate and how it is the answer to your weight loss. So I'm going to do a little recap as far as some of the slides from last week. So we talked about when you eat more high quality real food, the processed low quality food naturally begins to fall away. That is, it's amazing to think about. And I will tell you right now, that is exactly what happened for me. I naturally did this for myself, and I'm teaching you what I did. And I want you to be able to implement this into your life. So I want to read that again, because it's crazy to really think about the idea of naturally going away from the processed food, the fast food, or wanting it. So when you eat more high quality real food, the processed low quality food naturally begins to fall away. So that's why when you hear the term eat more, not less, this will help you balance. It's going to help us balance our blood sugar. And I'm going to talk more about that. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So when you eat more high quality foods, you'll eat less quality foods. You'll eat less low quality type foods. So you're going to eat less processed type foods. You're going to end up eating less fast food type foods. You'll be wanting that. Your body's going to crave that. So how do you know exactly which foods are the highest quality and therefore the healthiest? And so we talked about last week, as we gave the framework that we talked about, and we talked about the Farmer Jane food spectrum. And so we're always moving towards the least processed food and possible for our body. So what we want to do is go for something that's more a real type food, organic, non-GMO. And this is going to be something that some of us, and I totally understand this is going to be down the road. I'm not saying right now you need to be an organic, non-GMO. I'm just educating on where we want to go. So right now, I want us to look at going for something better. So if right now going to Jack in the Box or going to fast food, or you don't really know, then you are not even thinking about it, but you have been eating a lot of processed type foods, let's start making some better choices. I'm not saying that we have to go do an overhaul at all. I actually don't want you to do an overhaul. I'd like you to just make some better. So we also know about finding labels with the fewest ingredients. And so that's what we want to strive for too. So buying organic and non-GMO is what I've already talked about there. And here's another framework that I want to bring up too. A fact: protein, fat, and fiber. Fiber is a carb. It slows down the absorption of sugar. So protein, and then we're going to talk about how we're going to put this combo together today. It's truly is magical. Okay, so not to sound all hokey pokey by no means, but it's amazing. But protein, fat, and fiber slow down the absorption of sugar. Therefore, that keeps our blood sugar stable. So I'm going to show you some combos later where blood sugar might go spiked up, and you're going to find yourself hungry after a couple hours or even later in the day, and how we can put some things together where that's not the case. Since stable blood sugar is the #1 needle mover in health for most of us, bring a combination of protein, fat, and carbohydrate into each meal and snack, especially if we're going to have caffeine and sugar into, like in the morning and things like that. So why is this? It's because protein, fat, and fiber will slow down the absorption of sugar and caffeine. Therefore, you're less likely to go on this dreaded blood sugar roller coaster. So let's take a look. We're going to take a look at some examples, as I mentioned. So here we're going to look at breakfast, okay? So we're going to look at coffee and muffin. And certainly, obviously you won't be able to answer, but how many of us have had, we're running out the door and we've got time to just grab something real quick, and we grab ourselves a bagel out the door. Maybe a muffin or something like that. Maybe even an English muffin, a waffle or something like that. So, so that's scenario number one. And what you will, and then we'll do, or if you have coffee with half a cup of oatmeal and an egg, and let's just say a tablespoon of butter into your oatmeal and your egg, you add fiber for even slower absorption. What you will find, and I actually happened to be talking with a client a few months ago, and she was talking about how she was kind of pretty disappointed in herself in the way she ate, especially later in the day. And we went back and I asked her what she had kind of earlier in the day. What was her breakfast like? And she had a muffin and she had coffee, and she really just didn't have that much for lunch. Just skimmed by, just had a very, very small amount of whatever her meal was. And then her dinner, she was starving and just really found herself just eating and having a really extremely large dinner. And I remember now that I say this, I remember this conversation. She was talking about, I almost want to say we're either talking about she wasn't hungry for breakfast and that's how this conversation came up, or she was more disappointed in how her day had gone. And then she had made a point that she wasn't she just didn't eat breakfast or wasn't hungry for it, that the next day or whatever it is. And so, well, that's going to make sense to me. So one is, when we're having coffee and we're having a bagel, we're having that muffin, that pastry, and we're pairing it together, that's all we have. That is, it's, and one thing that I want to point out is, it's totally not even your fault when later in the day you feel like you're just going to go dive in and go have something else to eat. One is, this is just going to spike our blood sugar, and our body's going to crave, and we're going to just feel like we need more food. Okay, so we haven't gotten what we need. So what happened with my client is that she found herself doing that exact thing, and it makes us feel like, oh my God, I can't even control myself. And the fact is, we just need to put some combinations together a little bit differently. So really with scenario number two, when we're looking at, hey, if you're gonna have coffee in the morning, which is great, I have coffee every morning, combining your oatmeal is a carbohydrate, your egg is a protein, and it has fat in it. And then your butter has actually got fat in it too. So what we're doing is we're putting our carbohydrate, our protein, and our fat all together. And so what that does is it absorbs and it helps us to process these foods. And what it does is it stabilizes me. And so not only does it stabilize me for, a couple hours, a few hours, depending on what your size is, whatever it is, maybe get you to lunch or something like that. Maybe you need a small snack in between lunch and dinner, breakfast and lunch. But my point is, it's not going to drop my blood sugar, and that is the key in this. So I will tell you right now, and I, many of you may not know who I am or my story much, but when I had lost, it was back in 2004 and 5 when I lost 140 pounds. And I naturally, about 50 pounds in, when I started to hire a trainer, I progressed into different stages, and I kind of taught myself different things. But when I started to work with a trainer, she helped me lose 90 of the 140, and I started to naturally, I was already balancing my plates. I was already doing this. And when she had actually come to me pretty early on in the process, I want to say within the first couple of weeks, so she asked me to track my food so she could see, kind of what I'm eating. And I came in, with the first couple sessions together, and I brought in my sheet to her, and she really didn't believe me. She said, "Are you kidding? Are you kidding me? Is this really what you're eating?" And I said, yes, it really is. And it was an Excel spreadsheet. It was typed up. She had to ask me a few times, and I really did say, yes, this is what I'm eating. And so she had said, this is phenomenal. What you're doing is amazing. And, I typically have my clients, she said, that will come in with a crinkled up piece of paper, and it's erased and just kind of a little pretty messy. And so, I was already in that process, and she was literally, when I hired a trainer, I was going for the accountability, I was going for the education, I was going for the guidance. Little did I know that I was already starting to kind of do that stuff. And what I found myself doing in that process was, naturally, I started to go away from eating processed foods. I started going away from wanting to go to McDonald's, started going away from eating junk food, and the weight just melted off my body, in a way that I say, in a very healthy way. And it took me a year and 7 months to lose 140 pounds. And there was one period where 6 weeks I was working with my trainer somewhat towards the end, and she said, look, we had a few months left together, a couple, she said, I want to show you a book. I want you to read it and incorporate some of these things in. And I did. And it was 6 weeks where I just maintained, I didn't lose. And she just said, let's go back to what you were doing, because this is really working for you. And I lost about 2 pounds a week. And it really, really worked, to where if we just put the combos together really well, you find yourself going away from craving those processed and even sugary type foods. So we're not going for perfection. We're looking at trying to balance out our plates, and we want to add some variety in here. So I'm going to go through a lunch option here for you. So I'm not advocating Coke. I'm not going to advocate saying, I want you to drink Diet Coke. I'm just, if some of you are in that place where you are drinking soda, I wanted to give you a scenario of would be a great combo to have together. So lunch, okay, let's say if you have a Diet Coke and a green salad, or a Diet Coke, beef, bean, and kale chili. So with the Diet Coke, it's sugar, okay? And so when we're having that sugar together and we're pairing it up, let's just say with a green salad has really very little nutrients in it. I mean, in the sense of just greenery. We need a little bit more density in it. And so it's really just not going to, it's really just not going to fill us up for very long. So, and this is, when I say green salad, it's got no protein, it's got no chicken in it, no beef in it or whatever. It's just really green leafy, lettuce and stuff. Or if you have a Diet Coke, beef, bean, and kale chili, if you were going to have a soda, this would be a great combo to have together, because the sugar from the Diet Coke, and then the beef, which is the protein, and your beans, which are going to be more carbohydrates, and kale chili. I mean, all these are great combos of honestly protein, but kale is going to be vegetables. It's going to have, there's going to be some carbs mixed in that. All of those things, everything in here has got some protein. Everything in here has got fat in it, and everything in it's got a carb in it. So on the bottom one there. So it's a great combo. It's a great balance. And so we're talking to you about balancing your meals. So we're going to talk dinner here. So let's say you're going to go out to eat, and you're going with the girlfriend, and you guys are catching up, or you're going to go with your spouse, your husband, and you're going to, you're going out to eat, and you love pasta. This is kind of your thing to do. It's Tuesday night. You're going to your Tuesday night pasta. So you decided you're gonna get wine. Wine is sugar, and then you have pasta with tomato sauce. Or you have wine pasta with organic cheese, mushrooms, kale, and tempeh. So I realize, again, when I say organic, I'm just going with the best case scenario. I'm not saying you have to go there yet. So the thing with pasta is it's a carbohydrate, and your tomato sauce, it's really not gonna, there's not much more than just carbs in here. Your wine is sugar, and then your pasta is all carbs, okay? So it's gonna provide that like blood sugar drop and fart, and you might even wanna come home and have something else to eat because you just really haven't felt like you're not full enough and things like that. And so you may need more just even a couple hours later. So, or on the bottom one, if you had your wine, pasta with organic cheese, mushrooms, kale, and tempeh. So your tempeh is going to be protein. Certainly your mushrooms and kale, your vegetables and things like that, and your cheese, great source of protein too. And so your pasta is going to be your carb. And so all those things really just absorb very well together. And that's where that sugar, the wine, it just kind of absorbs really well together. So I'm hoping this kind of makes sense, and I'm going to help you kind of pull this all together. So I've provided for you some meal ideas. And so the meal ideas have already got these things already in them. It's already got a protein in them. It's got carbs in them and healthy fat in there. So that's what we're trying to do, is we're putting those things together. So this is why we would call this the magic plate, is because it's easy to remember. It's a visual that helps us balance our protein, fats, fiber, which is going to be really a carbohydrate, we're balancing our blood sugar. Okay, so we're looking at sustainable. We're looking at sustainable weight loss. We're looking at trying to balance our blood sugar and not looking for these highs and lows and feel like we need to run to the refrigerator because we're craving something. So I've got a visual here. And so if we look at our plate, if we were to look at a visual of this, we want to look at our protein to be about, the palm of our hand. You've heard that, so take a look at your palm of your hand and look, and that's about the size of what you want your protein to look like. And then your starches, you'll want, probably a similar, and you might be, honestly, it might be a little bit more like a third of starches and a third of protein. So just kind of play around with it. And then for your fats, we want a smaller amount. We might look at a tablespoon or something like that. And then your vegetables, I really want that to be the biggest portion on your plate. So you want those colorful, green leafy vegetables. You want your, your broccoli, all your, certain vegetables to be a big portion of what you're eating. And you'll find that good combo together. And you'll start to feel, I want you to start noticing how you feel in the process. So keys to success, where I'm talking about a few things here. Flexibility. So this allows this template to shift and change according to our body. Okay, so at the end of the day, I want you to focus in on what your body is telling you. I can't tell you what your body needs. I can't tell you how your body feels. I want you to intuitively start to learn this process, and it takes time. It really does. So don't get mad at yourself if you don't figure this out within a couple of weeks at all. To be honest with you, some of these things have taken me years, several years, if not, I've been working on weight loss since I was like 18 years old, but really didn't take it seriously until I was 27 when I did lose weight. And that was 12 years ago. And so some of these things have taken years to grasp. So animal protein, you can always measure using the palm of your hand, as I mentioned. And another thing is eat until you're satisfied. So this is a super key component here. So having portions and being able to pay attention to how your body's feeling. We always want to feel satisfied. We never want to get to the point where we're just feeling sick or stuffed. Okay. And so those are some key things to kind of pay attention to. So focus on, I want you to focus on asking yourself these things. So when you focus on the magic plate at meals and add the highest quality foods and beverages at every meal and snack. So we are human, and to be able to do this at every meal is going to be, it will be hard to do. So I want you to build into, and I want us to look at right now, if you're in a place where you're just beginning and starting out, let's start looking at maybe half your meals. Let's at a very beginning phase, let's start 50% right now. Let's look at, and we want to build into that someday, is looking at, hey, maybe 80% of my meals, let's go to 75, 80%. We come to that 80-20 or 75-25, where we're looking at 80% of our meals to be kind of those magic plate, and 20% outside of that. And that gives us that flexibility and know that we have that variety that we can add in our life. Watch soda, caffeine, alcohol, and sugar. So those processed foods almost magically fall away, as I've mentioned. So when you watch the soda and we watch caffeine, alcohol, and sugar, processed foods will almost magically fall away. So I'll tell you right now, caffeine, that's one that I have every day. Caffeine's not bad for you as far as coffee and things like that. And I want to get away from bad and good foods anyway. But some people wonder if coffee is something that's quote unquote bad for me. So no, there's some great benefits to coffee. And things like that. So, but you will notice that these things over time will start to kind of magically kind of go away. You will find that you'll be able to eat more and not less to balance your blood sugar and get healthy. So notice how it feels to focus on all these amazing foods while you start to eat. So just start paying attention over the coming weeks of how your body feels, okay? So what we're looking at is a very different framework than telling ourselves, I can't eat blank because blank is bad for me. So we're getting away again from that bad food. Not only is this shaming and making me feel wrong or bad about myself, but what we also find is that most of the time we end up wanting to do something that we're told we can't do. So I want you to start asking yourself at meals, is this magic? Is this a magic plate? Okay. And so I want to recap here, recap a little bit from last week, and we'll kind of combine into this week. So why we talked about last week, why counting chemicals trumps counting calories. And then how to identify, we learned how to identify high quality foods by using frameworks like the Farmer Jane's food spectrum, if you remember that. So we were looking at the quality of ingredients, the quality of our food, okay? And then today we've been talking about the quantity of, or not the quantity, I'm sorry, the combination of how we're putting those together, okay? So we also learned how to read food labels and the 3 steps to identifying high quality foods in the grocery store. So we talked about that last week. When you eat more quality high foods, low quality food magically and naturally begins to fall away. Protein, fat, and fiber, which is a carb, stabilizes blood sugar. We also learned that the magic plate is a simple visual that helps you create high quality, stabilizing, and energizing meals and snacks. Okay, so covered a lot here today, and it's really great, tangible stuff. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to locate our workbook because I want to mention to you week 2. I want to go through week 2's assignment with you, and I want you to again, when you've finished it, come back and let me know. Because message me and go ahead and tell me you finished it and tell me what you've learned and things like that. So all of the assignment is in, all of that is in here. So week 2, as you can see right here, got that listed on the bottom here. I would like for you to read through what this assignment is. And what I would like for you to do is the next time, over this week, I would like you to take some opportunity. The next time you either out to eat with, either if it's a friend, girlfriend, family member, you're with your family, coworker. It can be in multiple times this week, but over the course of this week, I want you to focus this. It's an awareness exercise, and it's very eye-opening. But the next time you're eating with somebody over the course of this week, and they're either thin or they're healthy looking, I want you to take a moment to notice what is on their plate, okay? Notice how they're eating, what is on their plate, and how much is on their plate, okay? And then I want you to take a moment to take a look at what's on your plate and how much do you have on your plate, okay? And so I want you to do that, and if you end up noticing that 5 times throughout this week, write it out 5 times, okay? And then let me know when you do that, and go ahead and let me know what you find out, okay? So great work today. Super proud of you, and I'm gonna stop screen sharing here for a second, if I can. don't know if I can. Anyway, great work today. And what I'll do is I will see you in the next video, week 3.